Absolutely. Yeah. And it always has bugged me how people who purport to be good with people, like the kind that go into recruitment and selection in the HR department, these people that presumably they want to work with people and they somewhat presumably enjoy working with people and they somewhat presumably think that they're good at dealing with people. It always has amazed me how these people can be so off-putting and bad at interpersonal communication, bad at being likable, you know what I mean? And even extracting information from somebody. These techniques, how can I put this? They don't work. They just don't. They're made by people who make all kinds of assumptions in terms of how you think, how you understand the question. Like it's based on some very flimsy ideas. And as I've said previously, I went back to academia for a few years, like for 5 years or something, just to do some teaching, because I was originally asked to, and like at universities and stuff. And while I was there, I kind of briefly tried to look up the foundational base of the theories on which some of these job interview questions were based, to see if they were grounded in actual like scientific research and stuff. And I couldn't find anything. I found a lot of things that had been debunked, and I found some things that had been untested, but I couldn't find any corroboration that this is like grounded in science. You know what I mean? So that explains a lot. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people have a terrible time in job interviews. The other thing, of course, is that everyone assumes that they're trying to find the best candidate. They're not. They're trying to find the least risky candidate, so it's a different thing. Amaze says, I once asked HR what development opportunities the company offers, and they responded, none, except the hiring manager leaves. I would utterly avoid any ambiguous questions during interviews. Yeah, that's a classic example of just how incompetent and unsuited these people are to their role. Like, okay, maybe I'm biased. I was an executive for a while. And the thing about executives is, you have to have your game face on. It's almost like being a lawyer to a degree, God help me. You're representing your organization, so you can't insult people, you can't snub them, you can't be rude to them. You know what I mean? Everything you say, even if it's like you're shutting down someone's question or you're refusing to answer or you're giving a negative answer, you have to be tactful. You have to follow etiquette, be professional, be polite. You know what I'm saying? So maybe I'm a little biased, but when I hear recruiters who are representing their organization publicly, right, to the public, to candidates, behaving in such an unprofessional way, you're asking a perfectly reasonable question, and the way you phrase it is perfectly professional, right? Are there any opportunities here? I'm just curious. And they say none, except when the hiring manager leaves. It's like, wow, you're really painting the picture of a crappy company that's failing, good job. And usually it's not something you want to do. Even if that was the answer, truly, there would be much better ways of expressing that. And like, how do people feel when they hear this? How do you feel when you get that answer? It's like, wow, it sure feels like I'm wasting my time here, You just succeeded in convincing me that I might have to ask for another $10,000 a year to make this worthwhile. Because it seems like if I join you guys, you're failing. There aren't any opportunities here. Why is that? Probably because you're not doing very well, Way to go.